Welcome to another Paper Movies Book Club conversation. This month, we are going to be talking about Ghostbusters 1 and 2. We got a double whammy coming. Last month, our schedules did not align, so we had a special guest come on from Lex the Robot YouTube channel. Alex, he's an awesome guy, knows a lot about Ghostbusters. It's great to have him on, talk some Ghostbusters. So, guys, Ghostbusters, the novelization, written by Richard Mueller. We're going to talk about it. You guys ready? We got Adam. You ready?
I'm ready.
Jeremy.
I'm
Stephen
getting
James,
plastic.
You ready?
I'm getting plastic surgery right now, so bear with me. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm gonna look
All
like
right.
Adam after this.
Okay, so a quick summary about this book. We've got three scientists working at a college, okay, and they get fired. They're investigating some paranormal activity that goes on. They decide to go into some business for themselves, and they do catching ghosts to become paranormal investigations and eliminators. A new guy comes on. They hire Winston Zedmore. He's the fourth guy. Their first client is basically the only client throughout the whole film that we follow along with. Okay, and she gets possessed by this ancient god, Gozer, and now the Ghostbusters have to figure out a way to send Gozer or prevent Gozer from taking over the world. And that's basically a really quick, brief summary. Guys, what did you think about the author's writing style for Ghostbusters?
I'm going to let Jeremy go ahead because he's been kind of hyping up his thoughts for a while. So, Jeremy, why don't you take the lead there, man?
This was bland. Some good things. I will get into a couple positives before I get into the negative. Because this is one of these novelizations that was really hard to find for the longest time. This was like a holy grail for a lot of people. So it was a big deal when they re-released this because, like we talk about a lot of the time on paper movies when we talk about older books from this era, they don't get reprinted. They were made to cash in on the film and promote it, and because VHS was very expensive at the time to own, and Betamax was even more expensive. This would be how you rewatched your film, would be you read it. And this was, I think, something that I personally hyped up a lot. And there were a handful of things that I liked about this book. Mainly two. The first was there's a backstory about how Stantz got his parents' house that I was laughing hysterically about. I was like, and how I get the characters' names mixed up in Ghostbusters. I always go by the actors' names because basically they play themselves in these movies. It's one of the charms about them. As Bill Murray's character is such
Venkman.
a Venkman. I wanted to say Spangler, but I'm like, no, that's Egon. And the Venkman is such a sleazeball in this story, and like takes Stantz's sister out, and like he like came up, he borrowed Stantz's car and made him late to this family gathering. I'm not doing it justice. Just read this portion of it's like chapter 4, and it's like the best part of the book. I kind of liked some of the montaging a little bit in this. It just felt not necessarily tedious. It was bad. I thought the book overall was bad. It's just kind of bland. And that's the worst thing that a book can be, in my opinion, is just very, very bland. When it added stuff to the movie, it was great, but it didn't do enough of it.
Right. So, Adam, what are your thoughts on the author's writing style?
I thought it was dry. Um, it felt a little like you see to get through. I listened to the audiobook on a couple of the on both of these, just to kind of help get through it a little quicker. And I don't know if it was also just the author, or I meant not the author. I'm sorry, the narrator. He just did not deliver these lines how they should have been delivered, from the film.
I'm gonna argue there, Adam, because I did try to read this first. It's not necessarily the narrator's fault.
Okay.
It's there's a certain life in Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 to a certain extent that doesn't translate anywhere but a visual medium. And specifically by those actors.
Well, I thought, like I said, most of those lines were just very straightforward. Like, there was only, like, one time I remember laughing, and that was when Venkman, delivered that, or dropped off that ghost at that newspaper that was, talking crap about them, and then he's like, hey, that ghost we dropped off, turns off, they don't want it. And then I did chuckle at that because I thought that was funny. But it's just, it wasn't, I got the feeling that the author was trying to make it more like, kind of like with Dragon Slayer, like you get that vibe that this could have been a book before it was a film, and it just didn't really work for me.
Right,
yeah, that's really good. That's a really good description of it.
Yeah. See, I thought the author did the best he could with the script that he received to, write the book from. Because how novelizations work. They receive the screenplay, then they write the book. I could picture this being more clean because in the book, we don't really have any swear words. In the film, there's a few, but it's very clean. Like Adam said, it's dry, but not dry humor like we get from the actors in the film. The actors, known for their, what's they called when they just go off the rails?
Improv.
Improv. When they just do their improv, which I think is what they kept most of from the original script. Of course, I don't have the script. I don't know what exactly was written in there, but I'm sure the actors just kind of winged some of the stuff, changed up a lot of the dialogue. But I think the author did a decent job. This is my second time to read Ghostbusters from Richard Mueller. The first time, didn't really enjoy it. But the second time around, I took my time with it. I separated myself from the film and thought, I'm just going to read this as the book, experience it in a whole different way. And I enjoyed it a little bit more. And I thought the author did a decent job. There are some great things that he did do. Such as with the characters. Go ahead and move into the characters. I thought he did a great job developing each of these guys. We got better introductions to who they were compared to the film. We got backstories on all of them, like with Ray, like you mentioned, with his parents in the house. His parents leave him the house because they met Venkman, and they said, "We've met your friends, so we're going to leave something for you to fall back on." So here's the house when we die. And Egon, when he was a kid, liked to play around and experiment, do all sorts of crazy things. Winston was in the military. So then when he comes back, he's looking for a job and winds up with the Ghostbusters. But what do you guys think about the characters? You guys enjoy that part over the film?
I thought the Venkman in the circus was stupid. That just... Why?
Yeah, Carney.
It was just weird, and it didn't play into the... First of all, I'm going to spoil Ghostbusters 2. They never bring up any of these backstories again. It's not in the novel. So it just felt, I don't know, tacked on a little. Stances was the one, I don't know, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah. Adam, did you appreciate the expanded character background stories?
Kind of with Jeremy, kind of take it or leave it. It's just, I don't know. It was just me. I was just like, I was just kind of very like, okay, let's get to the ghost busting and everything. But, I mean, I appreciate that they were trying to expand it a little bit, but I was just like,
right.
It didn't really stick out to me that much, I guess.
Kind of slowed down and drug some things out. Well, since we're talking about the characters, the most awkward one, which Alex brought up in the previous videos, when we are introduced to Winston, Ray says, "Oh, hey, you're black." It's like, what a weird character introduction. You know? But I think, like I said in that video too, is like I think they wanted to have a joke about race, and they wound up sticking with the mayor's office when he says, "I've seen crap that'll turn you white." I think that's the one they said. Yeah, it one sounds a little bit better coming from Winston rather than somebody else pointing it out because it doesn't really make any sense and it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but like,
So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this book. It isn't the
you
worst
just
thing
don't
we've
like it.
read.
Tell me what is your favorite takeaway from the book? What is it that you like the most from this book?
Well, aside from it being short,
Yeah, it was really short.
it was it was mercifully short. I can't imagine this being bloated. It would have been awful. I would have been complaining to you every day, like when we read Gremlins. But no, it would probably be this the story of Stance's parents' house. That's pretty
Right.
much the only thing I liked about it. That was just. I wish that was in another book. It made me cry with laughter.
Adam, what was your least favorite thing with this book?
My least favorite thing.
Yeah, we'll get the negatives out of the way.
Like I said, it was just. I was gonna argue with you guys. Like, yes, the book was short, but to me, the chapters felt a little long, and that's was kind of interesting. Being that I listened to this on audiobook, it was just. I didn't. It was just basically how it was written overall. It was just, like I said, dry, and it just didn't capture the same uh, feeling that you get from watching the film. And it's just like there was expanded stuff in the story, but I didn't really care.
Right,
So
there was some weird stuff in there with each chapter. I thought the chapters went by pretty quick, and each chapter started off with a random quote, which I thought was a little bit weird.
Yeah, that was not necessary.
No, it wasn't. Uh, but something else that I picked up on that was kind of funny is almost I felt like when there was a supernatural thing going on, those two hobos were always around,
oh
which I
yeah.
thought was like a little comedic. Like, oh, they're here, so the trouble's just right around the corner. I can't remember what their names were, but those characters were going to be part of the film, but they were deleted. They're in the deleted scenes of the film, but there were some other things that I thought were great. You know, they did the little cosmic egg roll. He's comparing the activity, the supernatural activity, to an egg roll. Kind of replaced the Twinkie joke from the film. But yeah, so do you guys have any other comments with this novelization?
I did. I did like the ending. Like, I thought the author did pretty good at like when the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and everything. Um, I thought that was pretty good, and I also always laugh whenever you hear like if someone asks if you're a god, you say yes, and but yeah, I thought he did a good job writing the ending, but it's just overall the book wasn't sometimes I would say hit and miss, definitely a miss with me, but.
Okay, so what would you rate this book?
Uh, Kind of the D plus, C minus area, more D plus probably.
Wow, wow.
I
Jeremy,
didn't
you have
really
anything
care
that
for it, yeah.
you have anything, Jeremy, that you want to add?
No,
No.
no. I said my piece. There just wasn't enough material to want to talk about with this.
What about a rating? I'm gonna guess you're
Uh,
gonna do it pretty low here.
1.5 out of 5.
Wow.
It just,
Okay.
I think I hyped this book up too much for what it was. With it being so rare, and then they reprinted it, and it was like a great sign for our channel, And, we didn't even talk about that there's another Ghostbusters book.
Oh, yeah.
That's
there's another
super
novelization.
bizarre.
There's another one by Larry Milne. I don't know the whole backstory on all of that, but I think it might have been maybe like a foreign release. I don't know if it was printed worldwide or what the deal was with that. I have a copy. I should have read that for this, but I didn't. But I have the original copy of the Ghostbusters novelization right here. It's in very bad shape. Got this at a gas station when I went on a road trip when I was a little kid. I was thrilled when they had the new book come out, with book 1 and 2 from Titan Books. That made me happy. But for me, I'm going to have to say that after the reread, I'm going to have to give it a B. I liked it a lot more.
You're such a fanboy.
I am. I got the shirt on. I got some toys back here.
Well, I mean, it's sad because I do like Ghostbusters, but it's just after reading it, it was just like kind of like what I said earlier. It's just I was getting the impression he was trying to write a book, not a novelization, and it didn't work for me.
Well, I mean, like, there's some cool, interesting things, different not technology. Some of the tools that they use that have different names, or like they have a big PKE meter on the roof of their station, the firehouse there. So he's like, Egon goes up there and monitors what the paranormal activity is throughout the city from up there, and sees that there's a huge spike, which I thought was really interesting. And I had something else that I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was when it came to character moment. Oh, the ecto-containment unit where they store the ghosts has a window so they could see in and see the ghosts just kind of like around in misery.
I forgot about that. And like there's like a morality thing, but that's not really brought up enough to be worth being in the book.
No.
And they never talked about in 2.
Yeah. So, should we go ahead and move on to part 2?
Yeah.
And discuss Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah.
Jeremy, you want to take it from here?
All right. Have you seen Ghostbusters 2? I'm sorry if you have.
Well, hey, the novelization written by Ed Naha.
That's right. I forgot who wrote it. Ed Naha, unfortunately, had the misfortune of trying to interpret Dan Aykroyd's script, where Dan Aykroyd was not told no on a lot of things. If you saw the movie, you pretty much read this book.
Yeah.
This is a very, very straightforward novelization. It's been a few years since the Ghostbusters were in business. They got sued, so they don't exist anymore. We got Stance and Winston are doing birthdays while Stance has his occult bookshop. Spangler has a college class. Dana Barrett has a baby for some reason. And I'm trying to remember.
Peter's got his talk show.
Venkman's got this psychic talk show that he hates, kind of. And there's this goo under the city. You see, I'm doing this in all questions because literally this script makes no sense. And there's also Vigo the Carpathian, that's this giant painting that Dana is restoring paintings at this museum, and her creepy boss, who has a thing for her, is possessed by Vigo and wants Dana's baby so that Vigo can live again into the baby's body. And the city goes to chaos because of the goo under the city, and weird things happen that are kind of wacky, but not.
Well, the slime feeds off the negative energy.
But why?
Because
how does that connect to Vigo? Yeah, he was drinking too much of his Crystal Skull vodka when he wrote this script. I mean, okay, I'm giving Ghostbusters 2 a bad rap. It's not Nothing But Trouble, where they not only did they not tell Dan Aykroyd no with the script, they let him direct it. where he literally has a character who has a phallic nose in it, and Chevy Chase looks miserable. It wasn't that. It's pretty bad. I felt bad for this author. I'm just going to skip formalities and get to my point. This book is terrible. It is the saddest of the books I think we've ever read on Paper Movies, because this author tried. It's very clear this author tried his or her hardest. I think it was he's a he who wrote this? Ed? I'm just going to assume. He tried really hard to make sense of this script. He probably got this, and he's like, oh, Ghostbusters was a hit. I bet the second one's going to be even better. And then he got the script, and he's like, oh my god, can I terminate this contract? And then we found out he couldn't. He had to write this book. And there's not a lot added to this. In fact, I couldn't think of any. But you have to understand, I have only ever seen Ghostbusters 2 all the way through once, because I find it painful to watch. It's partly the script makes no sense, and it's partly because Bill Murray is awful in the movie. And I know we don't talk about the movie so much on Paper Movies, and we try to stick with the book, but I gotta put that out there, because you can feel, with the first Ghostbusters, which we just reviewed, Bill Murray made all of his lines work better than a novel could or the script could. He makes it work. And in Ghostbusters 2, he doesn't try. Like, for instance, there's a scene where the Ghostbusters get sued and they go to court, which in the first movie, with the amount of energy, would have been a funny scene. I mean, also, this book sucks because they left out the greatest line of this film, which is "Suck in the guts, we're the Ghostbusters."
Yes, I love that.
That is my favorite. That's my favorite line of both of these films, and it's left out of the novelization. And I was like waiting for it, and I'm like, it's gonna happen. It's gotta happen, and it didn't.
Well, they did add a line though to this book that I thought was really funny. That I was when I read it, I laughed out loud, and I was disappointed that it didn't show up in the film. It's when Venkman is signing off on his show, that World of the Psychics. He says, next week on World of the Psychic, Bigfoot. Is he real or just a lumberjack from a broken home? I thought the broken home part was pretty funny.
I remember that, yeah.
That's pretty solid line that they could have kept in there. But I think in the movie, he's like, next week, hairless cats. And he just pulls up a hairless cat, which they mentioned in the novelization, but in a different area, I believe. But I actually enjoyed the book. I thought it was decent. It had some things added. There's the scene in the office where they get called in, and this guy's angry every time he answers the phone.
Yeah,
and there's like a fire that sparks in his trash can or on his desk, and it was a little silly though. I agree with you that there are some really bad things about it.
That didn't even make sense. Like,
no,
it
they
doesn't.
just take him out.
Yeah, it led to nothing, and I just the Dana Barrett stuff's tedious in this. It's like she didn't need to be in this. There are better ways of setting up this story in general than I get that we need to have. Why is there a baby? That's something.
She got married between films to somebody else. I thought it worked. Everybody wants the characters to fall in love at the end, and they live happily ever after. This one proved, it's not always happily ever after. Venkman just got lazy. She left because he wouldn't propose. So she found up somebody else.
It gave me Kingdom of the Crystal Skull vibes, which is never a good thing. Because that literally has almost the same thing in it. Because we all know George Lucas is a terrible hack. But it's literally the same, only the kid's an adult. It's this awful thing, and I'm going to go on a little rant here for the sake of padding this out, because this is about to be a 5-minute podcast, because I don't think we have a lot to say about this except for Matthew saying, it's good, it's a good book, it's a good book, please, please. There's not a lot of good Ghostbusters books out there. I like the cover more than the book.
The original book, but Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah. Even the new cover is not that... It's not terrible. It's kind of comical on how bad it's photoshopped.
Oh, yeah.
But, which I think was a joke. I think that was a secret joke with it, and I approve. But, like, I hate when a sequel feels the need to do the same thing, because this feels the same as Ghostbusters, but not as creative, and they throw a child in. Like, Mummy Returns is the same thing. Only, unfortunately, that kid talks. At least the baby doesn't talk. That's one positive of it.
You know, I think one of the negatives with the characters, Janosch, the boss of Dana at the museum, I think the actor in the film, I can't remember his name, but he was in Dragon Slayer.
Peter
McNoll.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did a great job in the film with this character, Janosch. The book really does come across flat, a dull, boring character, and you're like, he seems just like a tool to Vigo. He doesn't have anything that you remember him by, you know? But in the film, he's got the silly accent, and he just seems like a creep. We get the sense that he's a creep, not just Dana telling us, oh, he creeps me out. Well, why?
Yeah.
Because he asked you out for dinner once?
Why is Louis Tully a lawyer?
I thought he was an accountant.
He's a lawyer.
Oh,
He's their lawyer for briefly. Like, why?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of humorous because he's terrible at it, and that the Ghostbusters couldn't get anyone better. And then he and who is their secretary? Janine. This is something I didn't reference in the first book, in the first novel that I did find entertaining, is her and Spangler's budding romance was kind of neat. That's not here at all. In fact, Spangler has nothing to do in Ghostbusters 2 for the most part. He does not do a lot. Why? I don't get it. Why out of all of them does he go back to teaching?
He's just a scientist, you know. He's the guy that's really into the tech, the science, the math of it all. And it was funny about, like, in a film, I can't remember, I think it was in the novelization too, but there's no humor in it like it is in the film. When Dana goes to visit him and he's like testing the room temperature and how the negative energy.
Yeah, that falls flat.
But in the movie, he's like gives a little kid a puppy, and it's like, oh yay! And Dana's like, oh, you're doing the good things, and then she leaves, and he's like, let's see what happens when we take away the puppy. There's like humor in that, with the way he delivers it and everything. But in the book, it's like it's really not funny. It's just
it's boring. That whole thing is boring. The children's party is a little cringy. I get it. It's funnier in the movie. But, like, there isn't that much that's... You know what is funny? Is that the Ghostbusters theme song is in the Ghostbusters universe. That just dawned on me that's so meta, and that may be the funniest joke in Ghostbusters 2.
I was gonna say, I still kind of laughed at that part, like whenever at the beginning when they're going to the party, and that makes you think that they're gonna go fight something dangerous, and it's a room full of kids. I'm just like, it was. I didn't care for this story. Even when I first saw the film, like I only seen the film once, and I didn't care for this story. It was just, and even in the novelization, I was kind of bored, and there was times like, okay, the most amusing part of this novelization, also the most annoying, was that near the end when I was like, someone tell Louis to shut up. Because he was going on, and just like, she's like, yeah, we can go get a steak and a baked potato for like $5. You can't beat a deal like that. It's just like, oh, we could order a pizza. Just like, I like pineapple and pepperoni. That's my all-time favorite. I'm just like, shut up, golly.
I do like that there's a couple of times in the book when he's talking to everybody and they just completely ignore him.
Yeah, that's
They
fun.
added a lot of stuff with Lewis in this book. Even like
Yeah.
he's sitting around the firehouse or the Ghostbuster station, and he has a thing with Slimer. He's trying to catch Slimer, so they're just like kind of going back and forth at each other. He's got like a chicken wing hanging from the ceiling to try to lure him into get him in a trap. And at the end, very end of the book, he gets off the bus. Slimer's driving the bus, and he's like, "Okay, so you want to go bowling next week?" So they like become friends in the end, which was really cheesy but kind of funny.
You know, this reminds me of actually a part that I did like in Ghostbusters 2. When Louis Tully is telling the baby the story, and then he like gets into his like accounting thing because he's always going to be an accountant.
Yeah,
that should be that's one of those I'll save for like people reading because that's a little gold right there. Oh, they should have been insured. Or it's just like
another joke that kind of kept repeating itself was the guy. Venkman goes up to the security guy at the museum. And he's like, "Oh yeah, World of the Psychic. That's one of my two favorite shows." This is in the film as well. He's like,
Oh,
"Well,
yeah.
what's the other one?" He's like, "Bassmasters." Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know Bassmasters. And then like later on, some guy's like, "That's one of my two favorite shows." He's like, "Don't tell me the other one, please." I thought that was funny too.
But yeah, I'm kind of with Jeremy. Like, the story just wasn't great, and I felt like Ed Naha, like I think, did the best that he could, but it just I don't think anything could save the story, honestly, and it was just like I said, like this is a story that needs to be seen on film because I enjoyed the film more than that.
This is surreal. This is a surreal. This is one of those rare. This is two of those rare times that the novelization falls flat compared to the film.
Yeah.
This is a paper movie. Well, these since we're recording these at the same time, this is a paper movies first, where typically the novel is oftentimes better than the movie, or they're on par with the movie, and this is just it's just surreal.
Right. I think one of the bad added scenes, other than the office guy bursting things into flames with his attitude, was the running scene when they go
with the
track
jogger,
the jogging ghost. Yeah, I thought that was a little bit lame too.
That was why did how did they bury that trap if everyone's running on it all the time?
I don't know.
How did the trap work from under the ground?
See, in the film, they just had like a line buried up underneath the ground. It was like halfway buried.
But it's clearly buried in the book. That didn't make any sense. This book is this book's the worst book ever made because it doesn't make sense.
If you want to watch the film, but you either don't have it or don't have a TV, if you're in a situation where you don't have it, you do have the book, you could read it and pretty much get the same thing out of it.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like Ghostbusters, the novelization, do I recommend this over the film? Definitely not. Film over the book any day. With book 2, in the second movie, of course, me growing up, huge Ghostbuster fan, I like the second movie, but I'd say you could read the book and not watch the film.
I would probably say if you're, like Matthew and like the biggest Ghostbusters fan in the world, and you're just kind of curious, I would say go ahead and check it out. But like, if you just see it on the shelf, I would just say skip it. That's just kind of how I feel about it. I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, like I would recommend this probably for Ghostbusters fans.
Yeah. Jeremy, would you recommend this re-released version of Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2?
If only if you're really curious or you're a big movie novelization collector.
Yeah. There isn't a line from the first book that made me laugh pretty hard, too. It was talked with Egon. I want to mention this real quick before I forget it. It's worth mentioning. They had said before, like, I've heard things in the making of. They didn't want when Egon to smile at all, and he hardly smiles. But in the book, I think they say he never smiles, but he was tempted to smile, and it made his mouth hurt, or his face hurt. I think that was in the first book. It might have been the second book. See, I can't remember.
Yeah, that's what happens when you put.
Part where he says, "Oh, he was tempted to smile, but it hurt his face," and I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I didn't write it down, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can't remember anything unless you write it down.
It's true.
It's dad brain. You see, I don't have
Dad
that.
brain.
I have car accident brain.
Don't worry, Matthew. I feel your pain, man.
Yeah. So hopefully, when the youngest turns like 10, that our brains will work again. And that was it, guys, for Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
No, we need to give Ghostbusters 2 a rating, though.
Oh,
We do. Adam, would you like to go first on a rating?
kind of same as the first one.
I don't remember what that was.
It was in the D plus C minus area,
That's
like
right.
kind of more. I'd probably say D plus for both. I mean, that's hard because I do remember being somewhat more, entertained by the second one. I didn't know if it was just because, like listening to the audiobook, like the guy reading for Louis Tully, he just kind of kept cracking me up. I was just like, it was funny at one moment. I'm like, okay, shut up. And,
We get it. We get the joke.
It's hard.
It was a really fast read, though.
Yeah.
Like each chapter was, I think the longest chapter might have been 4 pages.
Yeah. On that. Yeah. The second one, it was more like I thought it was better structured in terms of chapters. Like in the first one, I said earlier, is like it felt like it was really drawn out. Like there was not very many, but they were just drawn up. But I felt like this one had more fluid to it, or fluidity, I guess is the better term. So I'll give Ghostbusters 2 a C minus at best. So that's me. So D plus for 1 and C minus for 2.
I guess I'll go next because Jeremy likes to give the crazy ratings. I'll give book 2 a B minus. I'll be the guy that gives it a B minus.
Well, someone had to be, and it wasn't going to be me. This gets a 1.5 out of 5. It's not good. It doesn't deserve a crazy rating.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm glad we read both of them, and we did this as a double whammy.
Yeah,
short.
I think it would have been weird if we went back to this in a year and you just left a bookmark in a book for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's just like halfway through the book there.
Yeah, that's the problem with 2-in-1s and 3-in-1s.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching the Ghostbusters 1 and 2 novelization discussion. And if you guys want to go back and watch that special episode with Alex from Lex the Robot, please do so. I'll provide links down in the description and to all of our channels here or everywhere else on YouTube. Next month, we're going to be reading, what is it, Jeremy?
GoldenEye by John Gardner.
Yep. We're gonna have a special guest star. Well, technically 2, and I'll explain. We're gonna be having Noah from Quality Autism, but our second guest star is actually our host Jeremy, because they actually have a podcast called Live and Let's Discuss, which is a 007 podcast. So we'll provide links to that as well. So be sure to go check that out as well.
Yeah. And before we sign out, I want to mention real quick that we did get a new novelization release out there. They're kind of rare these days. The Godzilla vs. Kong by Greg Keyes, I believe. So if you guys big in novelizations, you got to go pick that up. Show Titan Books that we want more novelizations.
Yes.
So with that, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off. Jeremy, any last words?
No.
No. Adam?
Yeah, thanks for joining as always. And guys, from our Paper Movies page, on the Facebook page, we do appreciate you guys always showing us your book hauls. We always love seeing we always love how active you guys are getting with the Facebook page or just on social media in general. So we just want to say thank you to all you guys. And we just hit 72 subscribers recently. So guys, thank you all so very much for that. And again, thank you all so much. And that's all I got.
Okay, I get the hint, Adam. I'm supposed to say something. I get it. Thank you for the guilt. All right.
And that's how you do it, folks.
Is this my final words?
This is your final words, and then I'll say something. Or do I need to say something
you need to say something because
I need to say something first.
I'll feel emasculated if if I don't go last.
Yeah, guys, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Goodreads, Twitter. There's a lot of people out there talking about novelizations on Twitter. We'll do some more shout-outs later on. I want to give one right now to Hollywood and Spine. They're on Twitter. Go check them out. You can subscribe to get a monthly newsletter about novelizations. Very cool. So go check that out.
I do have one thing to say. I'm sorry, Matthew. We'll also have an update video coming soon. We're going to be releasing what we're going to be discussing for next quarter, and we already did with Goldeneye. That's going to be in Book of May, but we'll also release, for June, July, and August. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah. So guys, thank you for joining. Jeremy?
Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you can find podcasts. We're probably there. And also, stay Gucci.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.